But see what you were saying? You're right, because they do want to do hysterectomies, operations. But I will say to anybody, do not let them operate on you. Do not, because once you let them operate on you, it then caused, I think that's what caused all the further problems for me to keep on going back to have operations.
Hence why this segment is called Still Figuring It Out.
Yeah.
Because we are literally still figuring it out. Hi, and welcome to Still Figuring It Out. My name is Rachel. I'm your host for the show. And today's show is with my co-host, Natasha.
Hello.
Try talking to the mic, please, and carry on like you're not shy.
Hello.
Okay. Today's topic will be regarding endometriosis. So for those who don't know what endometriosis is, we'll be having a discussion. It's a condition that women have, and today we're going to be talking about it from an awareness perspective, the symptoms of it, how it's kind of diagnosed in the United Kingdom, some of the difficulties Black women face with regards to diagnosis for endometriosis, the outcomes and the potential outcomes regarding it. I think that's as far as we got. So, Tash, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Season's greetings. How are you?
I'm good. So, okay, I brought you in today because you are a person who understands endometriosis very well. Now, can you give us kind of a breakdown of your understanding of what endometriosis is?
I think in layman's terms, how people want you to see it, firstly, is that it's a women's problem.
Okay.
It's something around the menstrual cycle, so they see it kind of taboo, so they don't really want to talk about it, and that's where it's kind of left.
Okay. So, endometriosis, you have it. Okay. So, when did you first notice that there was something wrong or something not too right in regards to your body, in regards to your cycle, and how did you kind of identify, okay, I need to go to a doctor?
I think it was from when I first started my cycle. I started my cycle when I was 15, so I was a late cycler.
Okay.
And you just thought, oh, you get pains, you have these problems, you have heavy days and everything else. So I thought everything that went with it was natural.
Okay.
But I didn't realise the sufferation that I was having wasn't really good.
Explain the sufferation. What was that? What did that look like?
Crippling pain. Your cycle will be so heavy that you can't basically leave the house or leave the bed. Your pain is excruciating. And it's not just in your tummy region. It's like from your waistline down, if that made sense.
Okay.
And later on, I'll explain why I say it's from your waistline down.
Okay. So you're 15. You're realising, actually, I'm in crippling pain. Everybody else is getting on with life during those periods, but you are not able to do like everybody else. What do you do?
I kept silent. Until I went to the doctor because they thought they found a cyst.
Okay.
So that was the only reason. I kept silent.
So how long did you keep silent for? So you're saying you realised something was wrong at around 15. So you were having these crippling pains. You were having different cycles to your friends. So did you have the conversation with your friends about what their cycles were?
No,
or did you keep quiet?
I just kind of was listening to everybody else talking, because remember, I was late already. So I was hearing what everyone else's opinion was of cycles. And something just seemed different. But it's when the pain was so excruciating that I couldn't literally walk for more than 2 weeks, then I had to go to the doctors. And that's when they said that I had a cyst.
Okay, so you're telling me that at the age of 15, 16, that you couldn't walk and you couldn't leave the house, and it was only to the point that you couldn't walk that you actually went to the doctor. So how did we get to the doctor's state? Because I just want to know about the kind of conversations that you had with siblings, parents. How did that happen?
No, like I said, because I was a late cycler, so I was kind of hear people's conversations, see what they were saying, and see if it resonated with what I was going through.
Okay.
None of them did. Some of them had pain, some of them had problems, but it wasn't to the level that I was experiencing.
Okay.
I didn't say anything to anybody until it got to the point, like I said, where I couldn't walk, and that's when they realised you have a cyst.
Okay.
And because it was the size of a grapefruit.
Oh, okay. So it's the size of a grapefruit. Yeah. So are we talking like a small... We're talking a grapefruit.
Yeah, a grapefruit.
And could you feel this?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you could feel this, and that was the only reason you went to the doctors?
Yeah.
Okay. So I can sense that this is a kind of a cultural issue potentially.
I think so.
Possibly. I think there is a thing that some people do. I know in a lot of African, Caribbean cultures that we leave it to the last minute to go to the doctors. And sometimes I wonder if this is because of the treatment that we receive when we go to the doctors, or the looks or the attitudes that we get when we go to the doctors. But we'll get into that a little bit later. So you get to the doctors having a prod. Tell me what happens next.
She sends me for further tests at the hospital.
Okay.
Went for further tests. The tests were coming back a bit. The doctors were a bit kind of startled, not quite sure what it was.
Okay.
So they booked an operation.
An operation?
Yeah.
Okay. What's going through your mind at this point?
Why me? What's going on? Why am I in this? What have I done?
Who are you asking these questions of?
Myself, actually. I wasn't actually asking anybody because it was so... At that age, to be going through that and not knowing what's going on with your body. Like I said, I was a late cycler. I didn't know if that was the reason I was going through it. Was it something I'd done as a child? I wasn't quite sure. So, yeah, I didn't know who to ask.
So there was a lot of internalization, a lot of blame? Mm-hmm. Okay. So we get to operation point. What happens?
So the first operation... They were going to do...
Okay, stick a pin. You just said first operation. How many operations have you had?
Now or at that point?
No, now. From then to now, how many have you had? We'll get to we'll get through them, but how many have you had in total so far?
I think I'm about 16 or 17.
16 or 17. Okay, cool. Now remember, we're talking about endometriosis, and this is only just one condition that some women face. This is about raising awareness and making sure that there are people out there, not just women, men understand the ramifications and the impact of some of the things that women go through. Okay, so first operation, talk to me.
Keyhole surgery.
Okay.
So with this, they're going to put 2 prongs in, expel some air, go in and do an investigation to see what's going on to cause me the pain and see if they can take out the cyst.
Cool.
Unfortunately... Putting the prongs in, they perforated the bowel. Oh. So they had to retreat from that operation, let me kind of sell over for a couple of weeks in the hospital, and then took me back for open surgery.
So, okay, so they've put these prongs in. Mm-hmm. They don't really know where they're putting the prongs in because they've now perforated your bowel. Mm-hmm. Okay. How did they fix that?
They didn't. It was a case of I wasn't allowed to eat anything. So they basically dried me from the inside out. I wasn't allowed to eat anything, drink anything, and thankfully everything just kind of closed up and sealed together. So
at this point, we're talking 15 to 16. Mm-hmm. So we're talking exam age?
Mm-hmm, definitely.
What's happening to the exams at this point?
Kind of got delayed. Had to get delayed.
Okay, how are you feeling about this?
I was more kind of confused as to what's going on. Am I the only person that's actually going through this? I've never heard of it. Mm-hmm. At this point, nobody had said the word endometriosis. They just said, you've got a cyst the size of a grapefruit. And I'm thinking, why? What's going on?
Okay.
Me smoking.
Is anybody explaining anything to you at this point?
No, because again, they didn't know it was endometriosis until when they opened me up and done a major surgery and literally opened me full stop, all the layers. And as they said, and sorry for anybody who finds this a bit gruesome, they like to call it chocolate sauce. So when they went to grab the cyst, it just burst. And that's when they identified that it was endometriosis.
Okay. So this is at operation number 2. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're at operation number 2 and they've opened you up. How did you mentally prepare yourself for this?
I didn't. I was petrified. I remember going down and looking at the clock before they put me to sleep. So when they're counting down with you, looking at the clock to see, okay, I'm going down at this time because I want to remember what time I wake up. Even my mum's a nurse. This was new territory. We hadn't heard of these kind of things and everything else. So, no.
Okay. So you're 15, 16, operation number 2. Mm-hmm. Nobody's actually talking to you because they don't know what's going on.
No.
They just know they're going in to get this cyst. They've opened you up. Mm-hmm. And what time do you wake up?
So they took me down about 10 o'clock because it was the evening. Like to do surgeries in the nights for some of the reason. And I think I came round about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. First thoughts when you came round?
Oh, pain. Excruciating, more pain than I had ever felt. Literally, it felt like I had been run over by a car. My whole body just ached.
First words?
I don't even know. I think probably I asked for my mum, probably know me. So yeah, I asked for my mum. So yeah.
Okay. Operations, you wake up at 3 a.m. Mm-hmm. Call the nurse? Mm-hmm. Nurse comes and gives you painkillers?
Yep.
Happy.
As
Larry. Mm-hmm. We don't know who Larry is, but Larry, thank you wherever you are. So you get to the point the next morning. Who comes to see you? How does this begin to start to formulate that this is actually endometriosis? So
then you get the consultant doctor coming. So you get the big wigs that do their rounds in the morning. And they come round with their SHOs and all their juniors and everything, and everyone hurries in. And everything, and the nurses try to get everywhere looking clean and proper because they want the doctors to be happy with the ward. And they come in, they're like, oh. And I'm like, okay, my mum's not here, I'm by myself. These people are talking to me. Are they supposed to be doing this? But I said, hear what they have to say. So they explained about what my condition was and everything else. I don't think I asked any questions at the point because I was just trying to process the information.
What information did they give you? What was it that they said to you?
That basically the lining of my womb, it sheds, okay? And what happens with that will be, when it sheds, it attaches itself into different cavities in your lower body region, which could be your womb, your bowel, your bladder, anything down there.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So a normal woman, excuse me.
No, it's okay.
A normal period, excuse me, very rude. So a normal period is a woman shedding.
Mm-hmm. And it comes out.
And it dispels. Mm-hmm. Endometriosis does what?
It actually attaches. So instead of actually expelling it, some of the endometrium, which is the lining of the womb, gets attached to your bladder, your bowel, your womb, anything it can attach itself to. Oh, anything it can, ovaries, literally anything. But the problem is that when it attaches itself, because it's the lining of the womb, they then start bleeding. Hence why the endometriosis is so heavy with the period.
Okay. So basically what you're saying is you've got these little things that are supposed to be exiting. Mm-hmm. They've decided that, there's a party over here, there's a party over there, and there's a party over here. Yeah. But in this party, we're going to hold on for dear life. And then when we're ready, we'll just let go.
Well, not so much let go. They're going to do their normal job, but in a different location.
In a different place.
Yes.
So you're literally having endometrium cells attach themselves to your bladder and then bleed like a period. Mm-hmm. Near your bladder. Mm-hmm. Near your womb. Mm-hmm. Near your bowel. And anywhere else it can attach itself to. Okay. So upon hearing this, how do you process this?
I was kind of waiting for Jeremy Beadle to come in first of all because I was thinking somebody's having a laugh. I haven't done nothing. I wasn't kind of sexually active or anything like that. I hadn't done anything. What was going on?
Okay. Because there's a lot of people that are thinking, she must have been doing something. Somebody must have attached or done something. So we've just cleared this up. Okay, so there was no sexual activity going on. Endometriosis is not caused by sexual activity. Let's get that clear. Okay. What happens next?
My mum attends the hospital and then I let her know and then we start kind of going through it.
Okay. Do they tell you about the impact of what's happening to you and what can potentially happen in regards to that condition?
No.
They don't tell you?
No.
Okay.
Breathe, breathe, breathe.
Okay, so they don't tell you. What do we do after operation number 2? What happens after operation 2?
You get sent home to heal because it's been an open wound surgery so it's called a laparoscopy because they cut you all the layers and everything else. And because of that, it's called a major surgery. So they send you home. You've got to heal like the 6 weeks, no driving. No, obviously, wasn't driving back then, but nothing you can do, anything strenuous. Everything calmed down. I thought, yeah, that's it, done.
Periods go back to normal?
Not really, but I just thought there was an adjustment period. You see what I mean? Because I never knew what normal was, in a sense. So I thought there was an adjustment.
So it was better than it was?
It was better, but that was for a period of time.
Okay. So how long did that period last? How long did that period of time between leaving the hospital to having to go back to the doctors last? How long did that time period last?
I think by the time of the 6-week healing period, I was still in problems. I was still in pain. The periods were so heavy that literally you'd have to put on 2 sanitary towels. Yeah. Forget even using, and I'm sorry for being blunt, forget even using a tampon. It does not work. Literally, you will be sitting there and if you sneeze, you get up and you're like, oh no, I've made a mess on the chair. Literally.
Okay, so you're 16. You're already in adolescence, going through hormone changes, going through exams at a very strenuous time and now having to deal with this. Okay. How do you get to the point and you say, okay, enough is enough, I'm going back to the doctors because something still ain't right?
Well, I kind of started realising that other people weren't having the same thing. I think at that point I realised something definitely is going on, and because I'm still having the pain, I need to go back. I suffered in silence for too long and I ended up with a big cyst. Even though they weren't able to remove the cyst, it still left me, like I said, it wasn't a solved issue.
Okay. So you spoke about the pain. Did you understand what was actually causing the pain?
I just thought it was periods, literally, because you always hear periods. People say that your periods can be really bad, you get bad cramps and things like that. I just thought it was natural.
Can you tell me when they first ever began to explain to you what endometriosis was and what the impact on your body it was having?
I would definitely have to say, so let me go back to something. So after the second operation, every 2 years I was then in hospital, yeah, because that's how bad. So I would try and wait till as long as possible with the pain, couldn't do it, but every 2 years I was in hospital.
And when you went to hospital, what was happening? Every 2 years, what was happening?
They were opening me up and removing cysts or trying to remove cysts. Unfortunately, with that, it was causing adhesions because every time they open you up and tamper with you, it then causes adhesions because your body's trying to heal itself.
Can you explain what adhesions are?
So adhesions are like, think of like tissue in a sense. So say you cut yourself, and when your skin heals, your body tries to do that inside, but sometimes it grapples onto different things because it's confused. But so it's just healing. But if they keep on tampering in different parts, your body's going to get confused and start to heal there and start to heal there, and attach itself. So it becomes kind of like a spider's web.
Okay, so explain to me spider's web. What's attaching itself to itself?
So say they've touched the ovary, because something was on the ovary, so it was like to heal itself. So something will attach from the ovary over to maybe the cavity of inside the womb or anywhere it can attach to, and then back and forth. So that's why I said.
So basically, what was happening inside of you was literally your organs will begin to fuse.
Yes, basically.
Okay, all right. Every 2 years, they're trying to pull your fused organs apart.
Well, it was every 2 years I would have another cyst reappear, and my mum at this point was telling me not to do it. I had even gone to Harley Street to get a private doctor's opinion and everything else.
Okay.
Like I said, I kept on doing it because I believed the doctors. I didn't know about this. There's no one in school was telling me about this. No. The doctors weren't even quite sure. Like I said, it was a woman's situation.
Yeah.
And how I was made to believe it was literally, Some people get bad periods and everything.
And they kept attributing it to periods rather than the actual condition. Okay. So we've had these operations every 2 years. You get into relationships, how do you explain this to your partners?
I didn't in the beginning, but they would see that there's points where I couldn't get out of the bed, and literally there'll be months where I'll be having, there's a certain time of the month where I'm having a towel wrapped around me in the bed all night, because literally that's my safety net. Because if not, my bed's messed up, mattress messed up, and I don't like all of that. So yeah.
Okay. When did you first have the courage to explain to somebody that something was going on with you?
I think my second serious boyfriend, I told him. I didn't tell the first one because I didn't think it was something to kind of share, and I wasn't, even though I was going in hospital.
How old were you?
At 17. Sorry, I say 17 because I've got a daughter, so I'm just being careful what I say.
So you then explain, I've got this condition. The doctors don't really know what it is, but I have to go into hospital every 2 years. What's the reaction?
They were fine, because you didn't, like I said, only unless I was in pain. They didn't like seeing me in pain. And it was just when I was in hospital, like I said, they'll come visit, and that was it. So it wasn't really too major.
Okay. You're having the conversations with the doctors. Is there ever a conversation regarding having children?
The doctors didn't bring up the conversation. I brought up the conversation.
What made you bring it up?
Well, age, and just basically, so we've moved on now. I'm in my 20s. I'm noticing that everyone else is having children. I'm maternal so badly that I love everyone's children and everything else. Nanny McPhee, I get called. But unfortunately, no, it wasn't happening.
For those of you who don't know, Natasha's the godmother to all 3 of my children. But anyway, so Miss Nanny McPhee, you have this conversation with the doctors and you bring it up. What do they say to you?
Well, they thought, things could not happen, maybe not happening at this time. It could just be science, could just be hormones. Let's just kind of wait and see.
Okay. How many more operations happened after that conversation?
I think about 10 possibly. I think about 10.
Okay, 10 more operations. Take me back to, and if you don't have to, if you don't want to, but take me back to your most traumatic operation where you said, okay, enough is enough.
No more operations, you mean?
No more operations.
So, as you know, I was on the IVF waiting list. Doctors said it's not going to happen. When they said I got endometriosis, they actually classed it as severe endometriosis.
Okay. When the doctor told you that, what did you actually say? What did he actually say to you? And
he just said that you've got severe endometriosis. Sometimes this happens with people and everything. What they actually got me to do was actually bring on my menopause.
okay.
So I was having monthly injections injected into my stomach to bring on my menopause.
And what was the aim of that?
So they thought by bringing on the menopause, it would actually stop the reproductive system or slow it down, and then it could restart.
Okay. And was that an aim to be able to have children, or was that the aim to try and slow down the endometriosis?
Both.
Okay. So you've gone through this menopause and reversal, and the aim is to potentially help you with
IVF.
childbearing, IVF, and to slow down the endometriosis. When they tell you you've got severe endometriosis, what's your thought pattern? What's going through your head?
It didn't actually faze me because I was in so much pain and had so much trauma with the hospital at this point by now, because I've been back and forth in the operating theatre. I felt like I'd actually done medical training, but without doing the reading of the books and the text and the information. I knew what the medication was, how much information, what they should be giving me, when they should be giving me, and things like that. So I didn't actually process that part.
Okay. So you do the menopause, it reverses it. Does it work?
Well, I should have been on the menopause reversal for 6 months. They kept me on it for 9 months.
Okay.
After that, I still started having heavy periods.
So it didn't have the impact that they thought it would?
No.
The operation where you said no more. What was that motivating factor to say, actually, I'm actually done with this now? I'm not doing this no more?
I think it was when I woke up from the operation this time round. And I remember I was in my bed and I was in pain, and the nurses were doing their usual checks and everything else, but I was in too much pain. And remember, I went to the bathroom, I'm in pain, I got to the point where I'm actually on the hospital floor toilet, and I've got OCD. I've got OCD. That's how much pain I was in. Yeah? So they called all the emergency doctors round and everything else. And remember, I had already been down for an operation at this point for that day. Mm-hmm. All these consultants have come, everyone's going crazy, not quite sure what's going on. All of a sudden, they're prepping me for another operation.
So you've just come out of one operation, mm-hmm. and now you're going back into another. Mm-hmm. What's the cause?
They're not quite sure at this point.
Okay.
At this point, they're telling me to sign consent for a colostomy bag.
For those who don't know what a colostomy bag is, it is a bag that diverts your colon from your rear to your stomach and collects your feces. And more often than not, when you get a colostomy bag, more often than not, they do not reverse them. They become for life. How do you feel about this?
I was terrified and petrified. Already I'm in hospital having all these operations.
How old are you?
It was 2005. How old was I?
30? 30?
Yeah.
Yeah, 30.
Yeah, so yeah. Yeah. Remember, none of my sisters, none of my female friends are going through this. It's just me constantly
on your own.
Yeah, in the hospital.
Okay. You go down for the second operation in the same day. What are they finding? What's going on?
They found I had MRSA.
Oh.
They found that the previous doctor had actually sutured my bowel to the lining of my stomach, the inside of my lining of my stomach. And I'm not laughing. I'm laughing now because...
We can laugh
yes,
now.
Yes, exactly.
It's because we can laugh now.
Yeah, yes.
The doctor has now stitched your stomach to your...
bowel.
Are we hearing this, yeah? No. Now, I'm not saying don't trust doctors, but you've got to make sure you know what you're doing. So they've opened you back up and found that your bowel is sewn to your bladder. You've now got MRSA. Mm-hmm. What do we do next?
I thought I was dying.
Yes, I did.
People were standing at my, literally, I'll come off the operating table, and certain people, where they're talking to the consultant, well, she's got blood on her shoes and my blood's still all over her. And they put me in recovery. But when I woke up, I literally thought I was paralysed. I couldn't move. The only thing that could move was my head.
When you wake up, what's your first thought?
I'm gonna be real. Just take me. The pain was too much. I kept on going back and forth in hospital. I'm just like, why?
Okay. What moves you from that point of wanting to just be taken, and when we say taken, don't want to be here no more, what moves you from that point of not wanting to be here no more to today?
Well, definitely I had my child. Mm-hmm. So after all that happened, was on the IVF waiting list, and I fell pregnant naturally. So, thank you. So I had my little...
There's happy ending!
And Rachel is godmother to my daughter. So yeah, so having my daughter, and like I said, that was the last operation I had. Yeah. Unfortunately, when I had my daughter, it kind of... Triggered. So I had a C-section. I had to have a C-section because of all my complications. I was high risk. Had the C-section, but unfortunately, Putting it bluntly, my fecal matter was coming through my cesarean scar. Literally. I didn't know it could happen. And I've got my daughter there, and I'm like, I've just got you, and I'm like, am I going to survive this? What is going on? Remember, no one's explained all these things was going to be happening.
Or potential that it could happen.
Exactly, yep. And everything else. So, unfortunately, my daughter got to go home after 7 days, and I stayed in hospital for 3 months.
Looking back, is there anything that you would have done differently or wish would have happened that you could change now?
Awareness and information. So you said earlier on about cultural. My mum believed because I ate too much red meat, certain things I was eating or certain things I was consuming. And back then I would eat anything. I'd eat ice cream for breakfast. So I did have a poor diet. So, yeah.
Is there anything you do now, apart from awareness, obviously going back and knowing more about endometriosis at a more younger age and obviously going to the doctor and maybe doing some more research, is there anything that you're doing now that you think is helping to keep the impact and pain away?
I think I've changed my mindset. You know, when you have that kind of body cleanse where your brain and everything kind of connects and you realise, hold on a minute, I am important. What I'm putting in is important. What I'm putting out is important. Everything I'm doing around me is important. The people I have around me is important. So I take CMOS. I do smoothies. I go to the gym. I do sauna.
She don't eat gluten.
I don't eat gluten.
This is a running joke in between us because, yeah, I refuse. And the discipline of Natasha is amazing to me. Because I don't know how anybody cannot eat gluten, but I'm going to get there. I will.
No, but you have to remember. I think so. Because of all that happened with the endometriosis, my body went into shock. So what did I get after that?
Yeah, yeah. So you've been through it, and a lot of it is attributed to the operations, the endometriosis, and the impact of some of the actions of not knowing and not understanding.
And the doctors didn't know. I think I was a test subject for them personally.
Do you think that the knowledge and awareness of endometriosis has moved on significantly from where you're at now or where you were?
It has moved on, but it hasn't got better.
Okay.
People are more talking about it because before it was an unknown thing. But I don't think maybe in schools they're having the right conversation with girls.
Yeah.
So whereas I've got a daughter, the first thing I'm thinking of when she started her cycle was, are they heavy? And I'm asking these questions. She's like, Mum, what are you going on for? But I'm asking because I'm trying to make sure she hasn't received that same endometriosis. Do you see what I mean?
Of course. Yeah. Okay. So we talk about awareness, and we're talking about awareness on a greater scale that needs to be understood. Now, 1 in 10 women in the United Kingdom suffer with endometriosis. But the diagnosis of it is the significant part. And what we're finding is that within the medical fraternity, in regards to the medical society, that there are some women who have a greater difficulty getting the medical treatment and diagnosis that they require based upon systemic racism. Yes. Now, when we look at childbirth, we look at conditions that black women suffer with. For example, sickle cell, they are treated as they are much stronger. Women die 5 times more in black women die 5 more times in childbirth than their white counterparts. When we look at for example, black women who go into crisis with sickle cell, they're deemed as drug seekers and are not given the correct treatment at the time when they present. Now, when looking at the research, it's demonstrating as well that black women are actually having a longer duration of suffering with their cycles before being diagnosed with endometriosis, when actually it starts at a very young age, as Natasha has said, from 15 years of age. So what we need to do is start making sure that when we go to the doctors and we're presenting with such conditions and we're asking for tests and treatments, when the doctors say no, you ask them to make sure they note it in your records to say that yes, you are refusing to send me for tests, and it is noted in your records that the doctor, you have asked for it and the doctor has refused. That way then, should anything else happen later on, there is a documented record to demonstrate that you've asked, that you have pushed, and that it is the doctor's remedy or lack of that hasn't proceeded within that space. Is there anything you would advise any young person now with heavy periods, heavy cycles to do?
Don't be quiet. Don't suffer in silence. Go to the doctor. Even if it's something that you think, well, maybe it's not heavy, go and get it checked. Go and get yourself checked. If the doctor doesn't give you that time or attention that you feel that you need, speak to somebody else, another adult that can actually give you that support.
And that can advocate for you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it does take more than one person or somebody with more confidence or a more assertive tone to be able to ensure that you get what you need. Natasha, I'd like to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your personal story, because I know it's not easy. It's not an easy journey, and it hasn't been. And I actually want to say that I think you're amazing, because my goodness, 16 surgeries. And I know that it's not an easy fate. And my miracle baby.
She said she was she had problems conceiving and stuff.
Yeah.
Because she had the same condition. But it's weird because she changed her whole diet, went completely vegan, started exercising, ended up with twins.
You see? Yeah.
Like literally back
Mindset.
to back.
I literally had a conversation with God one night and said, you know what? Okay, this isn't for me then. Whatever your plan is. That week I fell pregnant.
Yeah, see? You've got to love that. Design.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
definitely.
No, I was going to say, you have a child.
Yes.
Yeah. How does her health?
Her health is perfect, literally. And that is why I'm very happy.
So
because
she didn't, because of, I was going to ask beforehand, was he able to have kids?
I wasn't able, like I said, she literally came out perfect.
Absolutely perfect.
Literally. Like I said, we call her the miracle baby. She's,
Well done to you.
Thank you. Well, God as well, but thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing your story. I mean, wow. But what I'm thinking is, what do you feel that they're doing now to raise awareness from when you was 15 to now? To me, it doesn't seem... I've not really heard anything about it. There's not much talk. I even run a Black Women's Empowerment group, and, you know, for someone like you to come along and maybe speak to the women there, but to me, it seems like it's a topic that's not highlighted.
No.
Yeah, and there are other conditions, like one of my other close friends, she has adenomyosis, and it's very similar to endometriosis, and exactly the same, not being able to come out of the house, not being able to work, and literally, there are so many conditions that are prevalent within communities that just do not get spoken about because of the taboo about it, because of the shame, because of keep it inside kind of culture, or there's something wrong and you're not a woman kind of thing, or because you can't have children. All of those kind of things are what kind of stop some conversations happening when actually these need to...
I got called barren. I got called everything you can think of. Seriously. The doctors, when you go to the appointments, so you're going for your appointments and you're next to the maternity section. So you can't have kids. Okay. And you're actually, it was literally, and you're like, why? So when you ask that question about what can be done, that's why people are actually talking. So me talking, I'm hoping that I'm going to help somebody. And if they're going through something, they're going to say, okay, I need to get myself checked. And that's the only way, because if we keep quiet, no one's going to kind of share their experiences.
Suffer in silence.
Yeah.
So I don't have endometriosis, but I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, so I think from the point I started my periods at about 12, I had some really bad, severe, I would vomit every month, heavy bleeding. It was really, really bad. So I've always taken like a holistic approach to things. So I would do things like, I'll cut out salt in my diet 2 weeks before, and I found that things like that helped. Anyways, as I got older, obviously you go on contraception, so everything kind of lessens a bit. And it wasn't until the beginning of this year where I had one incident of like very horrific levels of bleeding to the point where I was like, okay, I might actually die today. Yeah. And it took for me to, I remember I had a scan and they said, oh no, everything looks fine. So I thought, okay, great. And then my doctor called and was like, yeah, we're a little bit concerned. And I was like, well, the lady at the scan said everything was okay. So what do you mean?
How annoying.
Right? So they said, yeah, you know, we've had a meeting with all the doctors here, and yeah, we're a bit concerned that maybe you've got endometriosis. So I was like, okay, firstly, she said, yes, you know, there are options, you know, such as hysterectomy.
That's the first thing you withdraw for.
So I was like, we've not even done an investigation at this point.
Are we certain that it is?
Right, because I've not even seen a gynecologist at this point. So, but anyway, I'm just, again, I'm very much a mindset person. So I was like, well, I'm cancelling all of that anyway, because there's no way any hysterectomy is going on, and you don't even know what's wrong with me. Anyway, subsequently, I think I was called in for a scan about May or June. No, a follow-up appointment with a gynecologist in May or June. This happened in January.
So
now,
6 months of waiting.
Right. But for me, because I do like self-healing on myself anyway, so after that one incident, I did some self-healing. I didn't have a problem again. So I didn't really care, to be honest with you. However, when I went to see the gynecologist, she said that I had some type of something.
PCOS?
No. It's like endometrium. I can't even remember the name. I was trying to Google it when I was not speaking. But basically what they said is that instead of, so you have the lining of the womb, and what I have is like a little pocket on top of my womb, which accumulates blood, like I guess how the endometriosis would. Yeah. So that would be the reason behind my heavy periods. Now, I've been having my periods since I was 12. And I've gone to my doctor and complained about heavy periods from the age of 14 or 15. And it's at the grand old age of, I mean... But you see what I mean? Yeah. It's for me to be in my 40s now, for someone to say, oh, well, by the way, that's what it is. You know?
Yeah, so it then speaks to that whole diagnosis, that whole let's ignore, oh, don't worry, this is normal, you know, don't worry about it.
I remember when I was complaining, like in my late teens, like 18, 19, oh yeah, you know, you could go and pill. And that's the answer. And that in itself is a whole other topic about throwing people on contraception
and hormones.
And
don't.
But that is what the treatment is. They put you on.
They put you on hormones.
They put you on the pill.
Yeah.
But see what you were saying? You're right, because they do want to do hysterectomies, operations. But I will say to anybody, do not let them operate on you. It actually causes further problems than you actually need.
Okay.
So like you said, try other things, holistic remedies, and change your
diet.
Yeah. Do not, because once you let them operate on you, it then caused, I think that's what caused all the further problems for me to keep on going back to have operations.
Okay. So thank you very much for joining myself and my co-host today, Natasha, where we discussed endometriosis. You have been locked in to Still Figuring It Out on the Love Laid Bare platform. And I am Rachel signing out. Peace.
Love Laid